Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. The Magic the Gathering markets are absolutely lava-hot right now, and this week has been entirely about reserve list and old school buyouts. So let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start right here with Lightning Cloud from Visions. Our number 10 winner is up 328% this week to $4.67. I can't believe I'm actually saying that the number 10 card is up over 300%. We've had many weeks in the past where our number 1 winner wasn't up anywhere near 300%. So we are in absolutely uncharted territory, folks. Lightning Cloud on the surface is not really that playable of a card. For 1 red and 3, we're getting an enchantment that states we can pay 1 red to have Lightning Cloud deal 1 damage to a creature or player, but we can only use this anytime we successfully cast a red spell, and only once for each spell. Not super playable on the surface. 4 mana is a lot to kind of get an effect like this. However, I could definitely see this making its way into some casual decks. I'm not surprised to see Goblin Wizard on the move in the number 9 spot. I'm just totally surprised at this price of almost $500. This card is up 400% this week. Now, of course, this is on the reserve list, but it actually sort of feels like it's up a lot more than 400%. And that's probably because less than a year ago, this card was only $20. So to go from $20 to almost $500 in the span of 6 or 8 months is an absolutely phenomenal increase. Goblin Wizard is actually quite playable if you think about this guy. For 4 mana we get a 1/1, but we can tap him and put a goblin from our hand directly into play. Now keep in mind, Goblin Wizard has also been errated to have creature type Goblin and Wizard, which are both very relevant, especially with Strixhaven on the way. There's plenty of ways to give your goblins haste, and more goblins are higher and higher costed these days. Muxus is a great example of that. So being able to pay 4 mana to put a Muxus from your hand directly into play seems like a pretty good deal. Alright, let's have a look at our number 8 winner this week. Juxtapose from Legends is at $195, and this is up 527% this week. Now, of course, this is the original print of this card, and that's very important because it's not on the reserve list, and it's actually had 3 other white border printings. In fact, all of those printings even had the same art. Now, this is a perfect example of how original prints from things like Legends, Antiquities, those type of original sort of 93, 94 type sets are all getting targeted very heavily right now, even cards that aren't on the reserve list and have multiple printings. Our number 7 winner this week is Mana Matrix from Legends at $705. This is up 876% this week. Now, this is another one that feels like it's up way more than that. You could actually get a Mana Matrix around the beginning of February for as little as $72. So as little as actually 71 is what it was listed at on the 1st of February. Now here we are on the 22nd of February, and this card is $705. It's one of those cards that for a long time it really didn't have all that much value. I mean, it's never been totally worthless because it is on the reserve list, but for a long time you were talking about, a $5 or $7 card. When Commander rose in popularity around 2017, this card sort of came into its own. Paying 6 mana for something is usually not that big of a deal unless you're playing some super competitive EDH. And it actually has an amazing effect. We get to pay 2 less whenever we cast an instant or an enchantment. So pretty good effect for sure for Commander. It's always good to be able to get that Omniscience out there a couple of turns early. But I have to say, I'm absolutely stunned at how much this card has increased over the course of the last month. There are definitely some heavy hitters out there buying out many of these reserve list cards. Coming in at number 6 this week, we have an uncommon from Legends, and that would be Presence of the Master. At $50, this thing is up 884% this week. Now, of course, this is not on the reserve list. It actually has a printing in Urza's Saga with some alternate art that you can pick up for around 30 cents if you happen to want one for your deck. It's actually a pretty good card for something like Xur Stacks because it doesn't actually prevent enchantments from being put into play. It only counters new enchantments that are being cast. With Presence of the Master this week, we are going back to the idea that the original prints from around the Legends era are being heavily targeted. And continuing with the original print buyouts, this time we have Ashnod's Transmogrant from Antiquities in the number 5 spot, up 1,025% to $45. Not on the reserve list. You can actually get a 5th edition or Chronicles copy for around a quarter if this is something that you're looking for one of your decks. Actually a playable card in Artifacts Matters type of decks. For 1 mana, you're getting an artifact, and you can tap and sack it to put a +1/+1 counter on a non-artifact creature. It then becomes an artifact. Playable in certain types of Artifacts Matters deck. But here we have another card that has a massive disparity between the printing prices, with the original printing being worth a whopping $45. Coming in at number 4 this week, we have another Legends card at $40. Great Defender is up 1,105% this week. Not a reserve list card. So here we get into the territory, and I'm starting to ask myself the question, is anyone actually going to ever pay $40 for Great Defender? It's not a particularly playable card. I can't see it really finding its way into many, if any, decks. Possibly something like Doran the Siege Tower where toughness matters, but Great Defender is a 1 mana cost instant that gives a creature +0/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's casting cost. So like I was saying, pretty obscure card, maybe sees a little play in something like Doran. But with these cards getting jacked up to prices like $40 for a non-reserve list card, and it being so obscure, I can't really see many people wanting to or ever really paying something like $40 for Great Defender. Well, I hope you were paying attention last week, because Sea King's Blessing was on my list of cards that you should consider purchasing. And when I mentioned it, it was $2.40. This week, our number 3 winner is up 1,148% to $30. What I liked about Sea King's Blessing, and what I actually talked about last week, is how this card, and these are what I look for, this is a card that's actually playable. It has a deck that it could be put in right now that is a new popular deck. Of course, Orvar, the Allform. For just 1 mana, we're getting an instant that changes the color of 1 or more target creatures to blue until end of turn. And of course, Orvar, if you target 1 or more of your own creatures with an instant or sorcery, you get to make a token copy of 1 of those creatures. So Sea King's Blessing definitely has a natural fit in this deck, and it will going forward. And this is what I actually look for when I'm investing in cards. I mentioned that last week that I picked up a pile of these, and now I'm really happy that I did. Our number 2 winner this week is Energy Flux, the original Antiquities printing at $235. This is up 2,365% this week. Really good card, super good in something like Zerstax for sure. For 3 mana, 1 blue and 2, we're getting an enchantment that states all artifacts now have an upkeep cost of 2. And if that player doesn't play that 2 during their upkeep, they have to sacrifice that artifact. Here's another card that's not a reserve list card. It's in fact, it's had a ton of printings, and if you need one, you can get a copy for around 50 cents or so. And our big winner this week, up 4,848%, is Suleimans Legacy, a reserve list card from Visions. At $200, this is absolutely mind-blowing how much this card has gone up. It was a junk rare a couple of weeks ago. Basically what's happened here is this has been completely bought out. If we head on over to eBay, there's absolutely no copies left on the market. There's like 1 graded, 9+ mint card at $440 something. Ridiculous for a card like this. Suleiman's Legacy is 2 mana for an enchantment, and when it comes into play, you bury all Djinns and Ifrits. And whenever a Djinn or Ifrit comes into play, you bury it. This is not really a playable card. The price on this is gonna crash hard. However, whoever bought out this card probably got a bunch of copies for around the $1 to $2 mark, and this has resulted in the nearly $200 price tag we see today. All right, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, I want to thank you for your continued support. And many of you guys who check out these videos every week have been longtime subscribers. So I have a little bit of a favor to ask. My wife has recently started up her gaming channel, and I'll put a link in the description of this video to one of her videos. If you would head on over there and check that out and consider subscribing, we would really appreciate it. The first card on my list this week is Ensnaring Bridge, specifically the 7th edition version of this card. At $23, this is a fantastic pickup. It's well below its all-time highs. Its price has been smashed recently by all the recent reprintings, so it seems unlikely that Wizards is going to reprint this card anytime soon. Reprints, especially those that end up in the mythic spots, are generally cards that have to have some equity. So I really do feel like Wizards is going to let this one kind of recover in price before they target it as a reprint again. The other reason why I've chosen Ensnaring Bridge this week is because the founders of MTG stocks have a new and interesting way of looking at pricing on cards, and I'm actually in total agreement with this. I think they are on the right track here. So Ensnaring Bridge at $23 is actually cheaper than the market price of nearly $24. So what this essentially means is that most people are buying and paying $24 for this card, but a lot of people still have it listed at around the $23 mark. So if you can find a copy of Ensnaring Bridge for around $23, I think that this is a fantastic investment. I mentioned Balduvian Trading Post a few weeks ago as one of my targets for reserve list investment. It is a playable card. When it comes into play, you sacrifice an untapped mountain. However, you can tap it to add 1 red and 1 colorless to your mana pool, and you can pay 1 to have it deal 1 damage to an attacking creature. There's a lot of red decks that this could definitely fit into as one of those sort of supplementary lands. Balduvian Trading Post at $8 is still a long ways off of its all-time highs of $12 back in 2018. And there's no reason to expect that this card will not see these all-time highs again, probably in the near future. At $35, I'm confident in pulling the trigger on Vorinclex Monstrous Raider now, and there's a few reasons why I say this, so let's go over kind of everything that's going on here with this card. First of all, it's pretty much flatlined, so I don't think that you're going to be getting it for any cheaper than it already is, at least not in the near future. Secondly, Kaldheim has not been opened to the extent that a lot of sets have gotten opened in the past. And of course, COVID is sort of the reason for that. A lot of places can't draft right now, so there's definitely that. And the Magic the Gathering sets are coming at us at a fast and furious pace, and that doesn't seem to be slowing down. So these new sets quickly get forgotten as other new sets replace them in the market. We're already talking about Time Spiral and Strixhaven, and Kaldheim is getting to the point where it's quickly becoming forgotten. My long-term price tag for this is north of $50, so getting this card right now for around the $35 mark is a bargain. And last but not least, we have our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Ravika Wizard Savant from Homelands. At $6.40, you could say to me, Dave, you kind of missed the boat on this one. And to some extent, that's true. You could pick this card up for around $1 just a few months ago. So it definitely has had a massive price increase over the course of the last couple of months. But I think Ravika has a long way to go yet. And I think that this is a great price to be picking up this reserve list card. There's a few things to keep in mind about Ravika here. Let's look at the Oracle printing on this card. First of all, Ravika has been changed to Legendary Creature, Dwarf, Wizard, which are both really relevant. Dwarves are huge right now thanks to Kaldheim, and Wizards are going to be the next big thing with Strixhaven. On top of that, Ravika is decent spot removal. You can tap her to deal 2 damage to any target. Now she doesn't untap during your next untap step, but there's plenty of ways to deal with that problem in Commander. Get your hands on this reserve list card for under $6.50 while you still can. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.